This is the Erin Cruz Show. Politics for the people and by the people. With your host, Erin Cruz.
Good evening, everyone. This is Erin Cruz for the Erin Cruz Show. Thank you for joining me tonight for the special edition of the Erin Cruz Show. Today is Independence Day, the 4th of July. Today is a day where we need to reflect and take the time necessary to look back at history, where we've come from, where we want to go, and how we're going to accomplish this. And out of respect for those who are serving abroad, fighting for our country, and the families who are here, spending time with one another, celebrating the great birth of our nation, I want to dedicate tonight's show to all of you, to all of the United States citizens who work so hard to keep this country free and to exercise the freedoms on our soil, which are so valuable to ourselves as well as future generations. So we're going to do something a little bit different. Next week, we're going to have the Patriot Connection. We're going to have Johnny Nalbandian on, and it's going to be really exciting. He's fighting against Adam Schiff. We're going to talk about that race. We're going to have other candidates on as well. It's really exciting who's going to be coming on. I'm not going to tell you anybody else, but you're going to have to stay tuned for next Wednesday at 7 p.m. for the Erin Cruz Show. And by the way, if you missed the show, you can go ahead and download our podcast. You could subscribe to our podcast on iTunes, Google Play. We are on iHeartRadio. You can watch our YouTube channel. You name it. There are plenty of places to find the Erin Cruz Show. So if you feel like you missed it, you can just log on anytime and take a look and take a listen. We're always here for you. If you have ideas, go ahead and share them with us. We are open to information. But we are going to go ahead and get away from, what we had originally planned for tonight out of respect for Independence Day. I think that I've been watching social media, I've been watching patriots across the nation talk about the different topics over the last week. I really think that we need to get back to the basics. We have to get to a place where we're unifying, that we're a united front against the enemies, foreign and domestic, people who are in our country, undermining our republic. We need to stand side by side in solidarity for all the things that make our country great. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Inalienable rights as given by God and secured by the United States Constitution and the Bill of Rights. We have to get back to that place of unity, of simple, basic truths, and really take a look at what's important. So what we're going to do tonight is something a little bit different. I want to take a look at the Star-Spangled Banner. I also want to take a look at the Declaration of Independence and share with you some of the information in the background of our country, our great nation, and really get back to that basics point where, we're not looking at holidays as some kind of way to get a nice sale on a mattress or, just commercializing an excuse to get together. These holidays, these federal national holidays, are serious. They're important and they have value, and people who are trying to tear them down or normalize them or minimize them are nothing more than enemies of the state, and we need to continually impress upon our children and our families the importance of recognizing where these holidays came from, what the importance of these holidays are, and in an effort to help us get to the space where we're a productive society. I look at Donald Trump and I think what a great example of a man leading his family and the nation. And I also look at how he talks about keeping America great. Despite the fact we have our troubles and, we want to make America great again, and we want to keep America great, we are still the greatest nation on the earth. We just have our struggles. We have a lot of issues we need to solve. But I think that it's very difficult to solve our current issues if we don't look to history to really understand the importance of how America was, brought to life, brought to the space of being who she is, and the time that's past since. So without further ado, Please take a look at the coming videos that are going to be placed in here. Make comments, share, and again, share this information with your family, with your loved ones. You know, this doesn't just disappear after the show's gone live. It doesn't disappear. It's there for people to replay and share on social media. Like it, share it. You know, everything we do here for you, everything that we share with you, it's out of the love of country. I built this platform because I care about the country. I don't make anything off of this. This is not a revenue stream for me. This is because I love my country and I care about the nation. I care about the republic. And I want to share as much as I can with as many people as I can to help impart. I mean, it almost brings me to tears, to help impart the idea in the space of freedom to future generations. It's that vital, it's that important, and I feel that strongly about it. So please share the love of country with your friends and family, and please enjoy tonight's show. God bless you. God bless California, and God bless the United States of America.
There was a lawyer once. His name was Francis Scott Key. He penned a song that I'm sure you're aware of. You've seen it. It's in most hymnals throughout our churches. It's called the national anthem. It is our song as an American. We go, however, to a ball game. We stand in our church services and we sing the words of that song, and they float over our minds and our lips, and we don't even realize what we're singing. Most of us have memorized it as a child, but we've never really thought about what it means. Let me tell you a story. Francis Scott Key was a lawyer in Baltimore. The colonies were engaged in vicious conflict with the mother country, Britain. Because of this conflict and the protractedness of it, they had accumulated prisoners on both sides. The American colonies had prisoners and the British had prisoners. And the American government initiated a move. They went to the British and they said, let us negotiate for the release of these prisoners. They said, we want to send a man out to discuss this with you. They were holding the American prisoners in boats about 1,000 yards offshore. And they said, we want to send a man by the name of Francis Scott Key. He will come out and negotiate to see if we can make a mutual exchange. On the appointed day, in a rowboat, he went out to this boat and he negotiated with the British officials. And they reached a conclusion that men could be exchanged on a one-for-one basis. Francis Scott Key, jubilant with the fact that he'd been successful, went down below in the boats, and what he found was a cargo hold full of humanity, men. And he said, men, I've got news for you tonight. You're free. He said, tonight I have negotiated successfully your return to the colonies. He said, you'll be taken out of this boat, out of this filth, out of your chains. As he went back up on board to arrange for their passage to the shore, the admiral came and he said, we have a slight problem. He said, we will still honor our commitment to release these men, but it'll be merely academic after tonight. It won't matter. And Francis Scott Key said, what do you mean? He said, well, Mr. Key, he said, tonight we have laid an ultimatum upon the colonies. Your people will either capitulate and lay down the colors of that flag that you think so much of, or you see that fort right over there, Fort Henry? He said, we're going to remove it from the face of the earth. He said, how are you going to do that? He said, if you will, scan the horizon of the sea. And as he looked, he could see hundreds of little dots. And he said, that's the entire British war fleet. He said, all of the gunpowder, all of the armament is being called upon to demolish that fort. It will be here within striking distance in a matter of about 2.5 hours. He said, the war is over. These men would be free anyway. He said, you can't shell that fort. He said, that's a large fort. He said, it's full of women and children. He says, it's predominantly not a military fort. He said, don't worry about it. They said, we've left them a way out. And he said, what's that? He said, do you see that flag way up on the rampart? He said, we have told them that if they will lower that flag, the shelling will stop immediately. and we'll know that they've surrendered, and you'll now be under British rule. Francis Scott Key went down below and told the men what was about to happen. And they said, how many ships? He said, hundreds. The ships got closer. Francis Scott Key went back up on top and he said, men, I'll shout down to you what's going on as we watch. As twilight began to fall, and as the haze hung over the ocean as it does at sunset, suddenly the British war fleet unleashed. He says the sound was deafening. There were so many guns that there were no reliefs. He said it was absolutely impossible to talk or hear. He said suddenly the sky, although dark, was suddenly lit. And he says from down below, all he could hear the men, the prisoners, saying was, tell us where the flag is. What have they done with the flag? Is the flag still flying over the rampart? Tell us. 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours into the shelling, every time the bomb would explode and it would be close to the flag, they could see the flag in the illuminated red glare of that bomb, and Francis Scott Key would report down to the men below, it's still up. It's not down. The admiral came and he said, your people are insane. He said, what's the matter with them? He said, don't they understand this is an impossible situation? Francis Scott Key said he remembered what George Washington had said. He said the thing that sets the American Christian apart from all other people in the world is he will die on his feet before he'll live on his knees. The admiral said, we have now instructed all of the guns to focus on the rampart to take that flag down. He said, we don't understand something. Our reconnaissance tells us that that flag has been hit directly again and again and again, and yet it's still flying. We don't understand that. But he said, now we're about to bring every gun for the next 3 hours to bear on that point. Francis Scott Key said the barrage was unmerciful. All that he could hear was the men down below praying. The prayer, God, keep that flag flying where we last saw it. Sunrise came. He said there was a heavy mist hanging over the land, but the rampart was tall enough. There stood the flag, completely nondescript, in shreds. The flagpole itself was at a crazy angle, but the flag was still at the top. Francis Scott Key went aboard and immediately went into Fort Henry to see what had happened. And what he'd found had happened was that that flagpole and that flag had suffered repetitious direct hits. And when it had fallen, but men, fathers, who knew what it meant for that flag to be on the ground, although knowing that all of the British guns were trained on it, walked over and held it up humanly until they died. Their bodies were removed and others took their place. Francis Scott Key said what held that flagpole in place at that unusual angle were patriots' bodies. He penned the song, "Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming? Or the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that the flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet fly and wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? The debt was demanded, The price, it was paid.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets sprayed clear, the bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
We will return to the Erin Cruz Show in just a moment.
Hello, everybody. My name is Erin Cruz. I am a political commentator. I'm an author of the book Revolution America, Communication Toolbox for the Modern Conservative Woman. Most recently, I'm a candidate for the United States Senate for the state of California against Dianne Feinstein. Yes, sneaky Feinstein. It's not over, folks. The election is still going. We're still counting. We're in this for the long haul. This isn't just about numbers. This is not just about winning the battle. This is about winning the war. And this is where my book, Revolution America, comes in. During the campaign, I gave away my book for political contributions, as a gift with a contribution and what have you. But now we're kind of transitioning to a new stage, but I really want to get back to the point of why I wanted to bring my book to that space. It's essential. The book is about communication. How do we better our nation? How do we better our community? How do we better our homes if we can't communicate effectively? So this is where Revolution America comes in. My book, Revolution America, Communication Toolbox for the Modern Conservative American Woman. It highlights ways that women and men can communicate, to understand where you're coming from versus where I'm coming from, understand the thought processes that happen, and to be able to bridge the barriers and come back to the place where we don't always have to agree. We can agree to disagree. Why? Because we're adults. That's easier said than done. If you look at the political landscape, if you will, we are in a massive divide. There has been a time unlike this in recent history. There is something about what's going on right now, and the only thing that I can tell you is we have to understand where we're at, understand where somebody else is coming from, and be able to communicate and bridge that divide. You know, I have an interesting thing. I went ahead and I sent this particular book off to many, many individuals, and one of the people who came back and said that they would write a review was Anna Marie Morell, and she is the CEO of Politichicks. And interestingly enough, she said this about the book, Revolution America. She said that, like many of today's modern conservative American women, Erin Cruz felt that fire in her belly and entered the realm of political activism. Oh boy, did I. And then I went 2 steps further, didn't I? In any case, she goes on, she says, in her book, Revolution America, Erin offers ways to not only debate those with opposing views, but also encourages us to respectfully listen to them, to learn who they are, and to in turn, you will hopefully teach them to do the same. I recommend Revolution America to anyone who cares about our country and wants to make a difference. You can connect more lives by building bridges instead of torching them, and Erin Cruz shows you how. That was Anna Marie Morell, author and CEO of Politichicks.com. You know, I wrote this book from 10 years political activism combined with 10 years of business experience, and I put it all together. It's 20 years of my life, and this is book 104. The next book should be coming out soon. It probably will follow my book on the campaign. Yes, I am. I'm writing a book on the campaign. I'm writing a book on the California swamp monsters, literally. But really, folks, we have to get back to the basics. We have to get back to the core. We really need to get back to the space where we communicate effectively and we can build bridges. We want to win the war that will secure our nation for future generations. Let's get started. Go to erincruz.com to learn more about Revolution America, Communication Toolbox for the Modern Conservative American Woman. Also, go to erincruz.com to contribute to the cause, which is fighting for our freedom and political activism, and donate to my platform to help support and keep the information spreading and help us keep this platform up and running. Thank you, everybody. God bless all of you. God bless the United States of America.
To hear more and to learn more on how you can make an impact or about the Erin Cruz Show, visit us online at erincruz.com. That's ERINCRUZ.com. Thank you for joining us, and see you at the same time and the same place next week.